Can you talk about what your writing process is like?
My writing process, I think for because I do so many different things. I write music, I write poetry, I write theater. I think my writing process can be at times convoluted and also focused. But my process is always, from the beginning to the end, is cultivating something that's in my own head. So the first step would be for me to center myself, meditation, or even talking to someone who makes me feel loved and seen and whole. So I might call him, or I'll call my mother, or I'll call my grandmother, people who make me feel seen. And after I feel calm, I'll start writing out some ideas, concept. And I'll look over those ideas, and whatever one sticks, and that's the one in my head, I'll write it. I think poetry, I've likened poetry or writing poetry as conversations with God, because that's how it happens for me. And it seems with poetry, it's like I'm plucking it out of the sky, and it's here. Whereas theater, I dream about the characters. Like I'll wake up in the middle of the night, like if you look at my phone and see like my recording app, you'll see like me speaking as these characters. I wake up and I'll record that, and in the morning I'll write it. Mm-hmm. So I think and with music, it's something I almost feel like an urge to do, a very deep urge, and I want to do, but it's an urge. And when it happens, when I'm in it, I can't be disrupted, I can't be interrupted, I have to finish. So I think because I do so many different mediums, it comes in a different way. But it all starts with trying to get it out, just with no judgment of myself, just trying to get it out.
It sounds like a meditation too.
It is.
It's so interesting.
It's a meditation.
That's like what you just described was like such a meditation.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, it sounds like a meditation. And like I'm calling my ancestors, but you're literally calling your grandmother,
literally,
or your mom,
I am,
or me,
or you. Like I'm literally. That's how it works.
Wow.
You know, it's a bit convoluted for others, but it just makes sense to me.
And I think she comes in with the idea of like writing, and she asked me because with my theater experience, like as an actor, I read plays, I follow plays and films, and sort of I have a knack of just like storytelling when it comes to a beginning, middle, and end of the whole arc. I guess on that level of just like studying and like having a passion for just reading plays. Like when I was in school, I remember like always at the library constantly picking out random plays and seeing where it goes. Some were bad and some were really, really good. And some were just like, oh wow, like they're very experimental and Brechtian. And when I met Kay, it was weird because she wrote like she read Shakespeare, she read a lot of encyclopedias. Her words are just like very archaic and like poetic. You know, obviously as being a poet, it was interesting seeing her work and seeing it on paper compared to the literature that I've read, you know, while I was in the realm of like academia. And it was just interesting because it was like, here it is, this raw person coming from this not so academic place, but also being academic at the same time. And so it kind of questioned my reality of like, what is real, what isn't, and what are false. And so I was like, you know, we don't have to go through the certain element of like what school is and having to take a class. You already have been writing. You know, if you're writing, you've been writing since you were a kid. And so I, you know, when she gives me a concept, I'm like, okay, well, what can, you know, for me, I'm like, what are we getting to the point? Because I feel like a lot of times,
how can we produce this?
How can we produce this?
How can it be producible?
Yeah. What is the story that we're telling? Yeah. What, you know, I'm very literal when it comes to that point of view, and I ask her because like she's so smart that I can like, hey, like this is a great idea, but how can we expand on it? Oh, I want to see you fabricate on the ideas. You know, and she always gives me problems too and challenges me as a writer as well, being like, okay, how can you do these things? Because I'm very like, this is the story that I want to tell, or this is a story that needs to be told. Because a lot of times I see a lot of pieces that have great themes but no sort of connection and no sort of like linear arc. So so the audience or the viewer can figure out what we're trying to tell. And so I think that's where our blend of you know, like of storytelling comes in. It's like she's the writer and, you know, more of a consultant / writer with ideas.
I think like ultimately he's my breaks too. I think I'm his breaks as well. But I think every artist needs their breaks. And I try to offer up that sort of that inclination to all of my friends, because all of my friends are artists. I can be your bricks. Let me read this over and see if it's too esoteric or fantasy driven, or it can't be based in any true reality that you can produce. It's producible and people be interested. Do they know the plot? So I think he provides that as well when it comes to my writing, because sometimes I can get caught up in the nuances. I love writing about nuances. I can get caught up in that, and I can stay there for 3 scenes.
But there's nothing wrong with that. I feel, and I have to tell her too, it's like, it's nothing wrong with that because it's so beautiful. You know, and there are points where we can add, and I feel like it's interesting where you're like, you never leave school, honestly. Like, you always are, you're always learning, you're always figuring something out, and you don't know something, so we got YouTube era. So it's like, all right, well, that's a great idea, but how can you piece that somewhere else and put it somewhere part in like a different chapter maybe? Or maybe like, ooh, fabricate on that idea.
Or keep it for something else.
Ooh.
Just keep it like,
because that shit happens too.
Keep it for
that, and I'm like, we go from a whole short to a whole web series or a whole episodic. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a whole. I'm like, yeah, this is a whole episodic.
This is a whole web series, 6 episodes.
This is 6 episodes.
Yeah.
So, you know, having that realm of like play, you know, like I'm necessarily like, I wouldn't consider myself as far as like the writing, but everyone is a writer. Everyone has a story, and I really believe that you don't need to go through a traditional route. It's great, but like everyone, if you've experienced and if you've lived, you all have. They always tell you when I learned, write what you know, write exactly what you know. You know, experience what you know. Like we all have this element. You know, even as a musician, like I'm gonna tell something that I feel, and so I come from. You know, when we're at the writers' table, it's like, well, give us a theme. What are we saying here?
What are we saying here?
How do we, you know, and that's how we play off each other when it comes to music. It's like, okay, well, you know, she challenges me where I'm like, I can get in my way of like, well, this is very traditional. It's like, no, like, fill it out, make mistakes, crash into something else. Because then when you crash, you'll find something new that you didn't realize, or your voice can come out this way. So she is like my muse when it comes to that type of creativity of like pulling that element out of myself, because like again, like you have to have the space to pull that out of yourself and trust that like the universe, God, that person is giving you the source. Yourself.
Trust that you got you when you're creating. I think a lot of the times we allow ourselves to be hampered and to be held back by what we believe that we're supposed to be doing, or how we're supposed to be doing it, or how traditional it needs to be, or how traditional it isn't. So yeah, I think we provide that for